Okay, welcome back. We're looking at the inauguration of the largest refinery, well, what they call single train refinery in the world. It's in Nigeria, the beloved country, right here. Of course, there are other aspects to it, as we've heard. Our guests, including Chief Martin Onovo, energy expert, has said that, well, yeah, but not yet Uhuru. There's still much work to be done. And my guest in studio, Mukhtar Mohammed, in fact, he was just telling me that never mind 435 megawatts of power plant that I was speaking about, that according to the governor of Central Bank, it's 12,000 megawatts more than we are currently producing. And I was saying that this is going to take care of the total requirements of the Ibadan Disco, which, as you know, well, that one covers so many states around it. But Reverend Dominic, you're on the line. Okay, let me quickly get your contribution / question / comment out of the way. Good morning to you, Reverend.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning to Mohammed. Good morning to Hi Chief Onovo, my friend and my brother.
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, everybody heard you.
Okay. Yori, I am glad for Dangote Nigeria Limited. When we say it's our refinery, it's not our refinery, it's Dangote Refinery. And somebody, judge is saying that he's going to get crude in a way that he will not pay in international market. No, because it's a capital business, and Dangote is a capitalist. I use the word capitalist not in a negative way, in a positive way. I mean, he's a businessman. He's going to source this crude in the international market, which is OPEC, the price. So what makes sense to me more yesterday is that this refinery, even though high chiefs say have not been completed, but to me have completed as a layman in a record time. What happened to me yesterday, I said this refinery is an indictment to all of us, not to point finger to any man. It's all of us. If Nigeria is building this capacity, the biggest in the world, we couldn't have finished this refinery 50 years coming. E.g. is Ajaokuta steel. If Ajaokuta had been finished for a long time ago, the 50 or 60% of steel in this big edifice would have come from Ajaokuta. You know what it means? Money for Nigeria and job for Nigerians. So for over 50 years now, we have been Ajaokuta steel. Lagos-Ibadan Express, I don't know how big it is. I'm putting your station now. The documentary I watched in your station yesterday said that the complete work in that refinery is almost half of Lagos. Since over 30 years, we'll be building a Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's supposed to be indictment to all of us. Another person I didn't like his friend there was the governor of Central Bank, who said he visited there several times. Why not visit his own refinery? He's very worried in Comatis. His refinery in Kaduna is Comatis. He didn't visit it. He visited a business refinery. Whether you like it or not, the man will maximize his profit. He wants to finish the record time and pay his bill. But if it's Nigeria, the times of your governor of Central Bank will frustrate it. We keep refilling that contract every year. From $200 to $500, share to most of them, honestly. Look at what this gentleman had done. Biggest in the whole world. When I saw the documentary of filling that sand alone, Nigeria will cover that land. Nigeria labor and contract will cover that land for 40 years before we start the foundation. Look at what that man has done. It's possible to build Nigeria. It's possible for our refineries to work. It's only Nigeria. As Mukhtar is an expert, as High Chief Onovo is an expert, it's only Nigeria that belongs to this category that has no refinery. It's only Nigeria. I'm not to quote wrong. But here we are celebrating a young man's effort to build this biggest refinery all over the world. And people are dancing. They're supposed to hide their head in shame.
All right, well, Reverend, I understand you, Reverend Dominic. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, Martin, coming back to you now, this whole matter about, well, one figure that was quoted was 435. That was said to be abysmally low in the sense that 12,000 megawatts is more like the accurate figure. We're talking about power generation now. You speak a bit about that. So it looks like there is nothing but good everywhere you look on this whole project.
Well, you won't know until you see the electrical design calculations and you see the installed capacity. You won't know exactly. Since I am not a part of the technical team, I can't give you exact design information. But that is simply designed from or estimated from the electrical load calculations. That's how it's done. I'm sure that it is sized to power the refinery with enough sparing capacity to keep it running continuously without interruption. And that is the standard in the oil industry. We run 24 hours, we run non-stop. And our power doesn't fail because we have spare capacity. And I'm talking about oil and gas facilities in country, not just the ones abroad. So it's the regular standard, it's routine, even though it will sound strange to a Nigerian, because we have got so used to poor performance. But that is the standard, and I wouldn't expect anything less, because anything less will be very expensive for them. So it will run, they will have power to run it, and it will keep running.
Okay, maybe just before I come back to studio, because this will require energy expertise. There's this question, this issue where Dangote was reported to have said that he's eyeing a number of sources for crude to feed into the refinery. Some Nigerians are saying that, what's that all about? You are in Nigeria here, the middle of all the crude that you can need, but I was reading something about it being able to handle different grades of crude. Why, to answer the question for the layman, would they be looking in Dangote for alternative sources of crude?
Well, he will be right to look for alternative sources. If I were advising him, I will agree with him that he should look for alternative sources. In this country, there was a time our production fell below 800,000 barrels per day. And considering the joint venture production and the production sharing contracts, all the oil doesn't belong to Nigeria. I hope we understand that. The joint venture partners have their share of the oil.
Okay.
We have our share. The production sharing contractors have their share of oil. We have our share. So if you consider, as at that time, that the production in the whole country fell to 800,000, if he needs 650,000, we may not be able to provide it to him. So if he's looking for alternative sources, I do not see anything wrong with that. But his cheapest source will be the NMPC. In other words, our crude. That will be his cheapest source. But if it's inadequate, and for a business, he needs the cheapest source. So some of these things are not whimsical. The economics compels you.
Okay.
So the cheapest source will be our Nigerian crude.
Okay.
But if it's insufficient...
But apart from the quantity, Nigeria crude is said to be among the high-grade crudes. We've heard of Bonny Light and all of that. But some of them, when I was talking about a large variety of crudes, it includes many African crudes. It might not necessarily be the sweetest, so to speak, crudes. But apparently that whole setup there can be fine-tuned, can be tuned to depending on what is being fed in. Since there will be quality control, it must be consistent, what comes out the other end. But you've sort of explained it, but I was a bit concerned that, we have high-quality crude, maybe not all over, but we do have high-quality crude, and there are other crudes that are maybe heavier and will require more work, but that facility we hear is designed to take care of anything, any kind of crude, whether the African crudes or... Please go ahead, Chief.
I'm impressed with your knowledge of heavy and light crude.
Oh dear. Isn't that commonplace? That's current affairs normal. You don't have to be an energy expert.
You're right about it. I can tell you everybody may not be right about it. That there are two principal criteria for grading crude. The first is what we call API gravity. In general, the lighter the better. Why is it the lighter the better? The lighter yields more PMS, which is the heaviest product in demand. Now, there is a second serious consideration, sulfur content. If crude has sulfur, then you have to have additional facilities, specifically sulfur treatment plants. So, and Nigerian crude does not have sulfur. So that is why you say Nigerian crude is very high quality crude, and you're right.
I see. Okay, so that's another feather in the refinery's cap, that whatever you bring there, it has the facility with which to do it without the engine, quote unquote, knocking, as if you bring the analogy down to a car. Okay, but Mukhtar, there are other aspects. They say 40,000 housing units are going to be available in a temporary, temporarily for all the workers there. Well, we know how these temporary things go. Later on, they'll become permanent. Look at the whole Festac village and all of that kind of a thing. Is that kind of a thing? Just as I was saying, any corner any way you look, it's nothing but good.
Yeah, it's nothing but good. And again, that is the one, you're talking about the 40,000 unit that will be temporary by Dangote Refinery itself.
That's right.
We're not even talking about the private sector
owners. No.
Already in that area, exit, if you're in Lagos, even a lot of estate have, a lot of development have come up in those areas in terms of housing. So
okay.
definitely.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you. You come back to it. Please hold your place. Idowu in Alagbado has been waiting for a long while. Good morning to you, sir. Apologies for keeping you waiting.
Okay. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to our beautiful analyst.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Uncle Yori.
Yes.
I was watching a video online this morning.
Okay.
I want to give kudos to the State government for a very good job done over this, refinery. Because during the time of Fashola, I could remember when he went to Lekki, and he had interactive session with all the community leaders and the people. And they were, in the discussion, they were like, please, do you know people really want this refinery to come here or not? And the community were like, yes, we want it. And he made mention of something that, see, if you know this refinery should come here, make sure you protect it and make sure you don't disrupt these people. Because considering the revenue this refinery will be bringing to Lagos State alone, you see, we need a visionary leader. Today, people are not celebrating Fashola for bringing this, for cooperating with Dangote to this refinery to Lekki or to Lagos State or for Nigeria. So kudos to the Lagos State government, kudos to Dangote. I don't want to know about anything, maybe the generation, what Dangote will be generating, but I'm so happy that Nigeria will have some visionary leaders that cares about the people and they give support to private-public partnership. So kudos to Ashiwaju, kudos to his team, kudos to his men. One Nigeria. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Indeed, thank you very much. So I interrupted you as
you were speaking. We're looking at the private sector. We're not looking at the private sector on, and if you look at that, also
this is all just in the Dangote
refinery. So it's huge. Will that be able to meet our housing deficit? I don't think so. Would that help in reducing it? Fine. Would that help in manpower, especially hours that will be lost in traffic if you are staying close to your site of production? I think that's all the things that Dangote is looking at. And in all Dangote production, if you look at his cement, a photo of his cement, that's what he does. He always have his staffs, he always have his people close to site of production and have all housing unit for them to stay. So it's not something new. That's what he does. And then he extends it to the community too. So that's why I'm also looking forward to see those extensions to some of those communities closer to this area. And when we are talking about, we shouldn't forget the environmental impact on the community too, because these communities also had their own environmental challenges that they will face with Dangote Refinery coming there.
Okay, indeed. So, Chief, let me bring that to you. This whole matter about, well, two things, and both of them are sort of like security. One, security of the environment. The other one is security of the assets, because the point has been made by, I think it was Zido who called in that back in the day at the, the ground turning stages when Fashola was involved, he was counseling that you got to own this project, you got to protect it and all of that. So that just brought to mind that that's true. It is a refinery complex. What are your thoughts in that area? Is it part of the project management that the security would have been down pat by this time?
Well, the project will come to an end as a project after startup. When you go to operations, the new operations team will have to look at the the history of community relations management and see how they can improve it moving forward. So when you are in a community, it's necessary that you relate with them, you communicate, you understand their needs, you understand their rules and requirements, and you try to comply. That's very simple. The community relations unit will be able to reach out to the community, understand what they want and what they do not want. And between the two teams, the company and the community, they will agree and they will have to work together. And the community will own it. They will own it when they see the benefits. And government as a third party also has a role to play, especially when a critical organization like that and communities cannot agree. Government can come in and intervene. So that's and become like a mediator. So these things can be easily worked out. It's not difficult.
It's not exactly rocket science. But so in the short to medium term, Nigeria should no more hear about fuel shortage. Is that true?
Exactly my initial sentiment. You know, everybody is now excited that they have 650,000 barrels refining. And I'm saying you don't have it yet until you have it. From my own insight, as a professional who has done this kind of projects many times, what they have done is mechanical completion. And I'm saying after that you do your pre-commissioning, after that you do your commissioning, after that you do your startup, and then you start operations. And so, the estimates we have now are August, September.
Oh dear.
So if anyone is getting excited in May or in June, he may be disappointed in July. So let's all focus on getting everything in place, getting everything efficiently done, so that the benefits can come in. Because the benefits